to order. And I'd like to start with an acknowledgement that we're on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people who have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. So going to the next item would be adoption of the agenda. We have item 17.1, which would be advice from officials. Is there anything else to add to the agenda?
Oh, go ahead. Did you have your hand up? I'd like to add correction for the motion for the rural renewal.
Is that coming from the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll deal with that with the minutes then. It's not an additional item.
Okay.
What's that? Oh, no, the renewal is quite old now, right? Yeah.
Yes, but are we going to correct that motion? There was two dollar figures in that one motion.
Well, we had one motion for 15, right?
Right. But that wasn't the correct motion. 10 should have went to rural renewal and 5 to the website.
Yes, that was our understanding on that, right, at the time?
Yes, but the motion read that 15,000 would go to rural renewal.
I believe the motion, if I could, through the chair, was that the budget be amended to provide 15,000 for the rural renewal program without any specification of who was getting what share.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'd like to finish off the tickets from the Elks Rodeo, where they're going. That was from the last meeting.
Okay, so that could be part of business arising from the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we won't add that then. Like it can be part of a discussion, business arising from the minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, Councillor Martin.
So I missed 17.1. What did you say, official something?
Advice from officials.
Okay, what officials?
It's per section 24 of the VOIT Act, so there's numerous officials. They could be staff, they could be outside consultants, they could be lawyers, they could be any official providing information to council.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to add 8.4 to under new, I'm supposing it's going to be under new business. Clarification on policies and bylaws. Where would you like me to add that?
Okay, is this a pressing item? I guess maybe you can give me a little bit more because we don't want to add it if it's not urgent.
It's urgent because I'd like to know what's acceptable for all, right? What kind of communication policies we have that we all adhere to. So for example, if I'm told one thing, you're told another thing, I just want clarification. So it shouldn't take long just to review our communication policy.
Okay, but we
If
don't have
If I could, through the chair, that would require consultation and research by the CEO. So at the best, I would suggest a motion be made that the CEO report back on this issue.
Okay, not to belabor it, nothing that, just really what are we, because it's come to my attention that we are not, you are the official spokesperson as mayor, yet that rule isn't followed. So I've been very reluctant to give a response, even in my personal opinion, but I see my council colleagues can do it. So I just want to know, can we or can we not, just officially, which is it? We don't even have to study or just which is it? Can we or can we not? And if we are allowed to speak on our own behalf, in my opinion, not on behalf of the town, is that acceptable, or will I be thrown under with a code of conduct violation?
Well, I'd like to just take that and table it to our next meeting so we can have it as an item, and then we'll have our policy and everything placed in there if that's, yeah. Anything else? Oh. Would we need a motion for that?
Because otherwise I'm not.
Okay. So we'll make a motion when it comes to your report, that we can bring that back. Okay. All right, nothing else? With that, can I get a motion to adopt with the one amendment? Councilor Dunn, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then to our scheduled delegation. Welcome, Glenda, back to council. Come on up.
Well, it's great to see all of you again. I'm very pleased to bring you your annual update.
We're happy to have it.
Thank you very much. So I think everyone's familiar with me. I'm familiar with all of you. Been working with this council for almost 18 years, so, and previous councils, so certainly appreciate this opportunity. First, before we get started, I'd just like to draw your attention to the new logo. We have been doing a little bit of rebranding now, so just a slightly little bit different logo. STARS is not who we were 38 years ago when we very first started. And so with a brand new fleet now to take us into future generations, we have the latest in technology in the brand new ICU environment in the back of the helicopter. It seemed appropriate time, and in 2025 we will be celebrating 40 years of serving Albertans. So it just seemed like a good time to have a little bit of a new focus and to move forward as we continue to not only focus on saving lives, but now providing critical care anywhere. Next slide, please. So as an update on the financial end, so previously I have reported that we did have a 10-year affiliation agreement in place with Alberta Health Services, which expired in 2020. We've been year to year since then. In 2022, they have made an announcement that they would look at moving to 50% of operational costs. So this is based on the average cost for a base in Alberta is $10 million per year, times 3 bases in Grand Prairie, Edmonton, and Calgary, so $30 million operational cost. This does not include the Emergency Link Center located in Calgary, which is our dispatch center for all our bases. It does not include education or training, and it does not include administration costs. So strictly operational costs. So in 2022, Alberta Health Services did top up to $15 million, or 50% of operational costs. We have received that again last year. We are in very high-level discussions with Alberta Health Services right now in hopes of securing another 10-year long-term service agreement at the $15 million per year. So more to come at the next update when we hopefully have a positive answer on that front. In the meantime, our STARS Lottery has launched again. You know, our STARS Lottery, Albertans have continued to stand by our side for more than 30 years of the lottery. And it usually nets about $10 million per year. That pays for one base in Alberta. So we're very hopeful that we will continue to have Albertans stand by our side this year as well. And then that still leaves roughly $18 million per year that must be fundraised from our, service clubs, community events, our municipalities from the Municipal Initiative Program that you're a part of, as well as our many corporate donors. Next slide, please. So, I'm sorry that didn't get corrected. It should say Big Lakes County supports STARS, as well as Town of High Prairie. So here's where we are on our municipal map. So this is across the province of Alberta and into northeastern BC. Everywhere that you see green is a municipal annual supporter of STARS. We have recently welcomed 5 more rural municipalities as well as 7 more urban municipalities. So, and there are now 10 different municipalities where we have asks pending as well. So more than 90% of the entire province is in support of STARS annually to help us not only offset some costs, but at the same time it is ensuring a robust and health safety network for all of us across the province. Many of these municipalities have now moved away from the minimum $2 per capita. The range goes as high as $90 per capita. The municipal leaders in the red boxes, they are all on standing motion at very significant high rates of support. We are actually a line item in their protective services budget each year. The yellow boxes represent regional partnerships. So partnerships that there is a partnership between the county as well as towns and villages that lie within those boundaries. So we're continuing to build on that. So you can see very much that the whole province is starting to unite together in order to ensure that we all have access to STARS. Next slide, please. So here is a 5-year overview within Town of High Prairie and Big Lakes County. I'm sorry, this must be the wrong. I'm sorry, I apologize. My EA must have sent the wrong one, because it should say 181 showing 2023 statistics as well. So overall, you are averaging within the entire county 33 missions per year. Specifically for Town of High Prairie, about 21 missions per year on average. So this represents a significant amount of value to your residents and area as well. You are served by 2 different STARS bases, both Grand Prairie and Edmonton. And High Prairie is the #1 community that STARS serves across the entire northern region of Alberta and BC. We are here at least 3 times a month. So it's quite significant in the fact that, partnership is key in being able to continue to be in this area. Next slide, please.
We were trying to get your other one.
Oh, yeah, because this is the wrong one. Or this must have been the wrong one on the stick.
I think we have the right one in our packages, though.
Okay,
'Cause, yeah,
hopefully,
yeah.
we'll keep going then. Postal code slide is the
Yes.
next one.
That's the one we
And does it have a total of 296 at the bottom on the left?
Yeah.
Okay, then that should be the right one. So on the left-hand side then, this represents all of the different resident communities that lie within Big Lakes County boundaries where residents lived at the time they were flown by STARS. Thank you very much. And so, to date, 296 in total. Since 2010, we were able to access data back to 2010. So you see all the different listings there. Now, if we're just going to talk last year as an update from what I previously presented to you, there's been 23 total residents flown, 10 with a High Prairie postal code, Jussard, Driftpile, Fost, Enilda, Gruard, and Swan Hills. So these are all residents that have been flown just last year. Now, when we look on the right-hand side, though, the red dots represent all of the different areas outside of Big Lakes County boundaries where these residents have been flown. So you can see that in total, the 296 total residents, 2 different STARS bases have served your residents. 179 of these residents were picked up in High Prairie, and 117 have been flown from 33 other locations across the province of Alberta. Some municipalities have red dots from Manitoba all the way across to BC. So this is very much a testament to the value of partnership for Town of High Prairie residents that they have access to STARS at no cost to them, no matter where they may travel across Western Canada. Next slide, please. Oh, I guess not. We're Next page, please. So the Emergency Link Center is located in Calgary. They receive approximately 36,000 emergency requests every year. They are integrated with all dispatch centers as well as all available resources. They use precise mapping coordinates as well. And we also, out of the Emergency Link Center in Calgary, we dispatch HALO as well as HERO for northeastern and southeastern Alberta response. Next page, please. So, of course, our transport physicians are available 24/7. They are also taking a shift in the Emergency Link Center, and there is because STARS is named as the dedicated critical care provider in Alberta, that our transport physicians provide all medical and procedural guidance on every critical call, regardless of the mode of transport. So whether a patient may go by ground ambulance, rotary wing, fixed wing, or HALO or HERO in rotary wing capacity, it is our transport physicians that provide all the medical and procedural guidance. We are also able to now, utilizing the latest in technology, and this is a great asset to your medical professionals here at your hospital. Even if the helicopter may be on another mission and not responding physically, our transport physicians are in contact with your physicians and nurses virtually. So still being able to provide that high level of critical care and procedural guidance, because we deal with critical care every day. Some of our rural physicians and nurses, like, they won't be doing daily intubations and things like that. So this is an opportunity too, where we are still assisting your community. So as well, in addition, while a patient is in transit on the helicopter, our transport physicians are also making all the logistical arrangements with the receiving doctors at the receiving hospitals. So for such things as scheduling a neurosurgeon, scheduling this cardiac cath lab, the mandatory CAT scanner for a stroke patient. So this way we're saving time on both ends of the mission. While that patient is en route, everything is being pre-scheduled so that once that patient arrives, we bypass emergency and that patient can go directly into trauma surgery or whatever they may need. So again, this is another advancement in how we can assist our rural communities. Next slide, please. Oh, next page, please. So, it's so confusing.
We've got the correct one now.
Thank you. So here, I'm pleased to say that we received the 10th and final helicopter for the fleet. So the fleet is complete. We've also incrementally last year been able to sell off the previous BK-117 fleet because there was still a market for them as well. We've attributed all those funds to the more than $150 million capital campaign. So all 10 helicopters are paid for. So this is a great achievement as we move forward in our, for a generational investment for generations to come. As well, we celebrated more than 20 years of night vision goggle capability. Being able to fly at night is an important factor. More than 50% of our call volume is at night. And so being able to not only be a leader in innovation, we were the very first civilian organization in Canada to have night vision goggle capability, and we've taken that forward. Literally tens of thousands of patients' lives have been saved because we've been able to fly at night for the past 22 years. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, of course, because we are the dedicated critical care provider in Alberta, it is mandatory for training constantly. Our crews must complete up to 200 hours of training every single year. online textbook as well as hands-on training utilizing the high-fidelity mannequins. We have a lot of great corporate partners that believe in education and safety, and so they have provided funds so that our bases all have very different sizes of mannequins, from neonatal, pediatric, adult, even a pregnancy mannequin now. And so, in some of these mannequins, they cost up to $300,000 per mannequin. You know, it's quite amazing to be able to see it in action. I'm always trying to describe to people, like, the mannequin can pretty much do anything you and I can do except get up and walk out of the room. It's just truly amazing. And so this is how we can continue to stay on a very high level of critical care, our crew members. We also have clinical educators at each base. So once in a while, we will have missions that involve situations that our crew members, our team of 2, may only see once in a lifetime. This way, our clinical educators replicate and recreate these very distinct cases so that we put every single one of our crew members through the same experience, so they've had that experience and knowledge. Next slide, please. We also do simulation in the field. You know, it's really important that our crew members are ready for the most unthinkable, and they have to be prepared for inclement weather, patient vulnerability, and very high consequence situations. We just recently, this last year, it was our Grand Prairie crew as well. There was a mission on the side of a riverbank, and the Emergency Link Center was able to identify an area where the helicopter could land right on the riverbank. Problem was that the patient was in the forestry area right across on the other side, but there was nowhere to land there. So our crew members had to put all of our packs are portable, so they put all their packs on the back. Even the pilots had to go with our AMC, or air medical crew. They forged the river across, together the 4 of them, to reach the patient. It took all 4 of them, once they packaged the patient, to bring the patient back across in order to take off from the helicopter. These are the types of most unthinkable that they must be prepared for. Next slide, please. So we also do work with our chain of survival partners, all aspects, you know, RCMP, the fire department, volunteer fire departments, search and rescue. It takes everyone to save a life, and team effort is key. So we do landing zone training. We have now recently, we're revamping our outreach program. We have put landing zone training as an online textbook training that fire departments can go online and fill out a form to request this particular type of training. So that's something you might want to pass on to your local fire department as well. We also are recreating how we can do more outreach on a regional basis. So bringing in a lot of neighboring fire departments together, maybe for a training day, you know, doing mock training scenarios, multi-casualty incidents for preparedness. Next slide, please. And of course, I did tell you a little bit last year about the International Air Medical Transport Conference. So this is also a part of the very high-level critical training. This is an international competition where helicopter EMS programs from around the world come to compete against each other. It's very rigorous competition. Our crews must triage multiple patients in very complex critical situations. They're graded on their decision-making, the timing, and the patient outcomes, utilizing the human patient simulators. STARS in 2022 marked the 7th time that we have taken first place internationally, and in the 21 years that we have participated, STARS crew has placed in the top 3 in the world all 21 years. We are very proud to bring your residents the highest level of critical care available in Alberta. Next slide, please. So in closing, I want to say thank you very much, Town of High Prairie. Our request previously was to you for $5,000 per year, and I've been notified and appreciate the fact that you have come on board again. Once again, it's very important for us as a united effort across the province to have you on board as our partners. You've been partners with us since 2008. You are the top community that the Northern Base serves. You have been a municipal leader across through 2020 with your previous support, but we welcome you back again and thank you very much for your consideration and to be a partner with STARS once again. Averaging 21 missions for town of High Prairie alone equates to at least $200,000 per year in mission costs only. So this is a significant value to your residents, not only here at home, but also wherever they may travel. With that postal code data that I presented, wherever they may travel, your residents still have access to STARS. And more importantly, because of your partnership, at no cost to the patient. That cannot be matched at all. We're averaging 10 missions per day, so literally a life is saved every day. But it's partnership that's made it possible for almost 40 years. Thank you for your support.
Well, thank you for your presentation. It's great again. It's always amazing to see what you guys are doing. And so I don't know, council have any questions about this at this time? No? No?
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope I don't have to use you anytime soon.
For sure, I know. It's a service that nobody wants to use, but they're always happy to know that we're there.
It is nice to know that you're there if it is needed, so
So for
thank you
sure.
very much.
I did bring you a calendar as well, and if you wouldn't mind to pass one on to your fire department as well, because we really appreciate them, and some newsletters. So I'll
Perfect.
leave
Thank-
these with the girls.
Okay.
And thank you very much for all of your help.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank
good
you for
night.
coming in again.
I always love to see your council. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, and it's also good to see we've got some, I'm assuming some public delegations coming in again. So again, just as a reminder, as a public delegation, that you can come in and share your any issues or concerns that you have with council, and you got 5 minutes to do that. And so I'll open up the floor, and when you come up, again, just as a reminder, if you haven't been in before, just to, when you come up to the mic, just announce your name so that we know who you are. And a lot of these, the meetings are all recorded and will get posted afterwards. So with that, I'll open it up if anybody would like to come up.
So my name's Lori McKay, and it's kind of a regurgitation, repeat of the last a bit. So I'll start off with, is the CAO must be very knowledgeable of the MGA, and it is only an administrative or advisory position. The CAO cannot make decisions for the council. Sorry, excuse me. So at the last meeting, we were discussing the very poor optics of the fact that the CAO's son was hired into the accounts payable, I believe, development permit combined position. So my first question is, and I'd like answers, responses, at what point did the CAO recuse himself from the hiring process for this position where his son had applied? Was he involved in creating the job profile, the qualifications for this position at all?
I can turn it over to our CAO, because I'm not 100% sure of that answer.
All the components you're speaking to were done by and assigned to the,
Could you speak a little louder, please?
of course I can. All the components you're speaking to, I was not involved from the start of the process. I did have discussions with their leadership team about deleting the development clerk position. The leadership team concurred with that. Advised the leadership team then to go through a process to create a joint job description for that job and the legislative clerk's job, which was also amended at the same time. There was a review team that handled that independently. I had no engagement in the process.
Okay, and addressing that, where it has been the amalgamations of two different positions. Now, does that meet the MGA criteria? And one of the concerns that I have, and others, is that when you have individual positions, that's a form of checks and balances to make sure that everything is being done correctly. So when you amalgamate a position, you kind of take away a checks and balance.
That could be correct, but it's not applicable in this situation since the job functionalities are two separate streams, one dealing with development application intakes and one dealing with accounts payable. There is no checks and balances between those two processes.
Okay. Now, okay, you explained the how and the why of how that was amalgamated. That's the next thing on my list here. Was HR part of the hiring process? If not, why not? Such as placing the ad for the position, collecting applicants' resumes, screening the applicants, the advertising. Okay. Anyway, to ensure that the criteria was met for the job qualifications, and were they part of the interview and actual hiring process?
Again, I was not involved in the process at all, so I can't provide answers to those
Right,
questions.
and in actual fact, that would be my preference because you've indicated you've recused yourself from it, so it is not appropriate for you to answer. So somebody else on council.
Well, council, if I could, through the mayor, there is a member of the review committee, if she's willing to speak. Again, this is an administrative matter, and we have no issues. I'd just like to start off by advising the delegations and council, we have a payroll officer. We do not have an HR department. Managers manage the HR processes through the direction of the CAO. But if I could put one of the delegation, one of the staff on the spot,
Okay, before
it's our
that
general
goes,
practice that all review committees and all hirees are done by an independent panel of at least 2 staff members. The delegation, one of the delegations made an excellent point at the last meeting, and in certain circumstances, we will be using third-party staff from other municipalities to assist in our process. Again, we don't have the full functionality like larger municipalities, so we will be relying on other municipalities to provide other expert support to our processes in the future.
okay, so is the payroll, or who is responsible for kind of those HR functions, the advertising?
You will see predominantly, except for summer students, I stand corrected, all the applications for positions that are posted go to the payroll officer. She would then decide through the management of whoever's hiring that particular position what the composition of, who develops the question, who develops the protocols, all that type of information. So generally, I'm not involved in any of that unless it is a management position being filled.
So your 5 minutes is up, just so that you know. Is there anything else pressing that you'd like to bring up, or do you want to hear from our other?
I'd like to hear, but you asked about the one thing pressing is, it was kind of concerning that at the last meeting, the CAO had indicated he had recused himself from the position, yet he was the only one speaking about, you know, his son was the best qualified for the position and whatever. Again, the optics are not good when you have the father speaking for the son, especially when he's not supposed to be involved in this process whatsoever.
Well, I don't know, are you comfortable speaking on that competition, or do you want to not? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Well, what do you want to know?
The questions were, just give me a moment. You know, when was it advertised? Where was it advertised? How long was it advertised for? And approximately how many applicants were considered for the position?
It was advertised on social media, on our website. For how long? At least 2 weeks, if not longer.
To what?
2 weeks?
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
And approximately how many applicants were considered, like interviewed? 1, 5, 10?
3.
there were more applications received, and then it was shortlisted down to 3, is my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess as last comment, apparently there was someone who met the qualifications, highly qualified, that wasn't considered for the position, not interviewed, and also not contacted in any which way or form, which, you know, kind of drops the ball there. Not very good practices. So hopefully, all I can say is that the son is actually the best person for the job. However, to have someone coming from Ontario when there's local available.
Just a point of order
No.
on that, that statement is not correct.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
That statement is not correct. My son
No,
was a
but what-
resident of Alberta.
Oh, okay. Okay. I retract then. Thank you. Okay. I missed the intro, so. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Any- oh. Good evening.
Ron Trevor. I got a visit from the RCMP last night. They raided my office and handcuffed me. No, I'm kidding. Don't break it down. Oh, it's not on? Good. Good evening, Ron Trunter. Hey, on Thursday last week, I received a visit from the RCMP. It was with regards to the theft of town property from back in December. And I'm just wondering if maybe at this point, Bill, maybe you'd called it in, or they had mentioned, and despite it being reported previously that there was charges laid, they had mentioned and indicated that it was just now crossed their desk and was being investigated. I was just curious as to who called that in, or
Perhaps I can do that, because I know there was, I guess, some misunderstanding or miscommunication. Is that last week when I spoke, it was that the town had asked the RCMP to press charges.
Oh.
That was what I was trying to communicate out there when the question was asked. So the town had asked the RCMP to press charges. My understanding is that the RCMP then does some of their own investigations to see if charges are warranted or would go.
Yeah.
And then there's, if I understand right, there's still another step where the district attorney would decide whether charges will proceed or not. So there is some more steps that we're not really in charge of, but the town did proceed to request.
when you say town, are you referring to you guys or us?
The town of High Prairie,
Yeah, who is that?
The employer.
the employer. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you made the call then. That's what I'm trying to understand.
No, don't put words into my mouth.
The, well,
Yeah.
town of High Prairie, it's a big group. Hey, the other thing I want to talk about quickly is I received a letter and we talked about this briefly last time, but advising me of who has authority to charge to the town account in my store. And in here as well, there's a note that in the near future, employees will be required to carry identification cards. What's the reasoning or the purpose or the rationale behind this? What do you want me to do with that? Are you suggesting that we card everybody that comes into my store and wants to charge to the account? Is that your request?
Perhaps I could speak through the chair. That's just for your own information.
Okay.
You can do what you wish. Of course, we have lots of staff in town that go into individuals' homes, would go into individuals' property. Currently, we do not have any staff identification program.
Oh, that's the reasoning behind the identification cards.
So we will be introducing a staff identification. So if staff come into your store or come into a resident's home looking for a gas reading or whatever reason, they can present proper identification that they are representing the town of High Prairie.
Sure, that's fair. What about then, have you taken steps or revised policy to minimize the likelihood that, we'll have a reoccurrence? Internally, what practices have changed, if any, that in terms of reviewing the
Significant
invoicing and
review
the items?
has happened of our purchasing policies. Again, there's numerous people involved in the process. So we've done re-education of all those that are involved in the process, specifically targeting the differentials between who gets to buy, who gets to receive, who gets to authorize.
Right.
So all those processes have been reviewed with the managers in the town and other staff engaged in the process.
So on my end, is there anything that I do differently in terms of, adding a PO number or anything to the sale on the invoice?
Well, I can't remember the exact differentials, and it was helpful that you provided the data you did. But my memory says there was something like 3,000 items bought at your store last year.
No, what I'm asking, do I continue to put their supervisor's name in the PO field on an invoice? Is that how you identify
No.
what department the sale
No, we'll
is
handle
being
that
reviewed by?
internally. That will be an internal issue, how we code
Okay.
and quantify and distribute those charges.
Okay.
All the letter was intended to do to say these are the authorized purchasers from the town of High Prairie.
So what I've done internally then is I've taken that account and I've broken it into 4 sub-accounts. Public Works, each one of these. And so when we invoice at the end of the month on your statement, the invoicing is broken out by sub-account. So whoever's reviewing the sub-account will get that group of
That would be
invoices
helpful
specific
from our
for
end.
that.
That would be helpful from our end.
Okay.
So there are some internal processes that, we've implemented that haven't been in that letter to yourself. But again, the managers have been provided more definitive directions
Okay.
in terms of some of these items.
You had me worried that I was gonna have to card everybody charging to that account.
No, you requested the list and we
No, I
provided the
appreciate that,
list.
thank you. The last thing I'm hung on, guys, is the tax sale, the property sale. And I don't think we're gonna get through it tonight, but, I found, if you go all the way back to September 12th, there's meeting notes referring to a tax sale being held on November 13th. But beyond that, I can't find, any documentation or anything that refers to those properties that were sold off by the town. And that came up last week.
If I could, through the mayor,
Sure.
you may wish to speak to the press that's here. There was a full-page ad read in the local newspaper with all the details.
Well, then how do we go from assessed value down to a $3,500 sale? How does that happen without?
Well, the assessed value is
Everybody
the assessed value of the property. Under the legislation, council has to set a reserve price
Yeah.
that at least meets the outstanding taxes. So there are 2 differential in terms. I'd be pleased to provide you with the information from the province on how to manage a tax sale and what the legal requirements are.
Well, I
But
see some of it. If you could
I
email
can
it to me, I'd
assure
appreciate
you that the town has met all the legal requirements under the MGA.
it. So let me ask you one last question, and again, it's only coffee room talk, but is there any truth to a town employee buying up the remaining properties for
If
pennies
you
on the
have
dollar?
any knowledge related to that, I'd be pleased.
Well,
to-
you would know, I wouldn't know.
I don't have any knowledge.
Well, how could you not know who bought them?
That wasn't your question. Your question was whether I was apprised of any town
Okay,
employees.
so my second question is, how would you not know who bought them? How do I find that?
You can,
Through the local realtor, or?
you can go to the land registry office. It's public information there.
Okay.
I cannot provide you the information on the freedom of information.
But your question was not a town employee.
Pardon me?
It was not a town employee.
No. Okay, no, that's good news. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Is this mic on? Okay. My name's Heather. Last name is Workman, concerned citizen. And I have heard that at the last meeting, there was issues with the microphones. So in other words, people were listening in. I noticed that you're not live right now. So a little worried about that. So how are we testing the microphones to make sure that we don't have any muffled sounds like the previous meeting?
Perhaps I can answer some of that, and we go back a little ways where we didn't have any mics a few years ago, and the town did put in some mic system. I'm hoping that it's better today, because I know we had a comment at the last meeting that the sound was not good.
Okay.
So I know administration had asked to look at it.
Okay.
And apparently they did find that there was some loose wires, and we hope that it's been corrected.
So
I don't know.
I'm just wondering something. Can we all do a mic check? I would like to do a mic check on my mic, and if you could let us know if it can be recorded and heard. Mic check, test 1, test 2, test 3. So I'm just wondering if each of the council members can test their mic, and we can have confirmation from the ladies over here to determine that the mics are actually working, if it's not too much trouble. I'm happy to use my 5 minutes doing this.
Testing, mic test.
So we cannot stop the video?
That's okay. You don't have to stop the video. We're just doing mic tests for everyone so that the public knows that we're working really hard to make sure that everyone's voice is heard.
Hello, my name is John.
Hi there. Thank you for the question. I did ask the ladies if they had tested. They had said in the affirmative. Hello.
You've heard me lots today, so I think my mic's working. Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
And I checked my mic before the meeting to make sure that it was good. Were you able, did that come across? It's hard to hear from back here. Can all hear? Better than the last meeting? It was bad last
I think we got a nod in the back of the
Yeah,
room. That's
yeah.
a good thing.
Just, Mr. McKinnon, there's something about your voice you're not projecting.
Good evening. I did test mine a little bit earlier. I think all good here.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's my question for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Strobchuk, and I'm a concerned business person. So the last time I was here, I asked a couple of questions. I'm hoping that you guys can answer those again. Who here, both councillors and CAO, have read and understand the MGA? With a show of hands, please.
Well, we tried to address that last time. You know, the MGA is...
It's about 500 pages.
Yeah.
Rather than making excuses, the question, again, respectfully, is who has read and understands the MGA? By a show of hands, please.
Can I ask, do you expect us to retain it?
If you have read your responsibilities as a councillor, the MGA, the Municipal Government Act, is what governs the actions that you take as councillors. So again, recognizing that there's not one hand going up, that's concerning. Question 2, have you read and understand the bylaws for your town? By a show of hands, please.
I can say I read most of them, yeah. There's a lot of them again, too, right?
So I'm seeing 3
And we went
hands.
through the bylaws, yeah.
And the question also went to the CAO. Have you read and understand the
Oh,
bylaws?
sorry, didn't know that was directed to me also.
It was directed to everybody.
I believe you said councillors, but not to be argumentative, yes, I've read all the bylaws.
Okay. So have you read and understand the policies that are in place for the town of High Prairie by a show of hands? Yes, if it's a yes. Raise your hand.
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
So the reason I ask that is there seems to be a lot of discrepancies between the actions that our council has been taking and the policies and procedures that are in place and the bylaws that are in place. So I'll just give a few as examples. So, Council Code of Conduct. Members of council, so this is policy number 62-2014. Members of council shall consider the welfare and interest of the municipality as a whole and to bring to council's attention anything that would promote the welfare or interest of the municipality. The primary obligation of council members is to represent the best interests of the town of High Prairie. This supersedes any conflicting commitment, such as that of advocacy to interest groups and membership on other boards or committees. The accountability to the town is paramount to all other interests. Council members will participate generally in developing and evaluating the policies and programs of the municipality. Council members shall hold themselves to the highest standard when engaging in any form of public conduct. Do you guys all understand those responsibilities set out in policy 62-2014? Do you feel that that has happened with the town of High Prairie, not the town of High Prairie, but the sale of the hospital lands, which it's my understanding that not all council members were even aware of until the land was about to be listed? Second, with the sale of the municipal land, there is a policy specific to the land of municipal, or sale of municipal land. Are you familiar with that policy? I'm not finding that one handy right now. In that policy, it says that any land that is to be listed should be listed for 10% above the appraised value. When citizens are asking what the appraised value is, and that's information that none of you are able to answer, that suggests that perhaps none of you are aware of the appraised value of that land. That same policy also states that any land that's going to be sold has to be advertised for a minimum of 2 weeks as per the MGA standards. No records of those can be found. Third, any land that is sold for less than 90% of the appraised value, all of those deals should be approved by council. It's my understanding from the last meeting that this was something that was approved by the CAO. Also, reading the CAO's policies and procedures and bylaws concerning the CAO, it says that the CAO is the one employee of the town who is also supposed to be following the bylaws of the town. So my next question is regarding the communication, because there was a statement that went out regarding the hospital land that suggested that this was a message from all councillors. My question to the councillors is, did you have an opportunity to discuss the contents of that press release that went out? Was this something that you guys all reviewed as a committee, as a group, prior to the release of that, and did you approve that message?
I can address that one. That message came out from myself and also in combination with our other spokesman for the town, and we sent it out. And it was something that we had, as a council, agreed that we would send out a message to make sure that the town understood why we made the decisions that we did.
Okay, so thank you for answering that. According to the council communication policy number 63-2014, it says the council as a body shall approve all press releases to the media and the public. The press release may contain the council's decisions and any other information that the council deems pertinent. Council members' interaction and communication with the media, public, and other entities must recognize the same limitation that any council member to speak for council except to repeat explicitly stated council decisions. So by your own admission, you've already violated this. It also says the content of the town-hosted social media shall adhere to town policies. Again, you just broke that policy. It's very clear in this policy, in 3.3, it says council decisions, oh, sorry, wrong one. It says in 2.2, no individual member of council shall direct the CAO. And it says that, as a sidebar, in the last meeting, I had made a comment that the unratified minutes were not on the website. In 3.1, it says unratified minutes containing council's resolutions, decisions, will be made available to the public through the town's website within 3 business days of the meeting. So by the CAO's own admission at that last meeting, when it had been up to 4 weeks or longer that some of those minutes were not on there, that is contravenes the 63-2014. There's also policies by the town, bylaw 15-2018, that establish methods for advertising statutory and non-statutory notices in the town of High Prairie. And I'm just going to pick one example of a meeting because I've also looked through the code of conducts. I've also looked through the council procedure. And one of the concerns that I have is in any board meetings that I've ever participated in on both a local, regional, provincial, and national level, any chairperson that I've ever participated in any kind of meetings, the chairperson cannot make motions. I do not see anywhere in any of the policies, procedures, or bylaws where it gives permission for a chairperson to make a motion. Is there such a policy or procedure or bylaw existing that I'm not aware of?
Not that I'm aware of that the chair cannot make a motion. That isn't anything that I've ever come across. But I do want to remind you, you're past your 5 minutes too, so.
Well, I will wrap up as briefly as I can. So in Council Procedure 09-2021, it explains the duties of the chair. It does not express an ability to vote.
To vote?
Or sorry, to make a motion.
But it doesn't say you cannot make a motion.
Standard rules of order, Robert's Rules of Order, do not typically allow that. The second thing, there was a motion made that was for a $1.3 million decision for arena upgrades. In Council Bylaw number 09-2021, it says only one amendment at a time shall be presented to the main motion. So at that time, you, Mayor Panasic, made a motion to amend 2 different motions so that the arena costs would be modified. So the original motion that had been made suggested that the town of High Prairie would split 50% of the cost with the county of Big Lakes. As a citizen sitting in the gallery that evening that the original motion was made, I expressed concern because the way the motion was made suggested that the town was making financial decisions on behalf of the county of Big Lakes. That was recognized, there was discussion, and then the motion proceeded as it had been. The county then came back and said no, they would not cover 50%, at which time the town had to hold another meeting to make a decision to alter that original decision, and 2 amendments were modified at the same time, again going against 14.5.6.1. Where this is of a concern is if you're not familiar with the MGA, there is a statute, I believe it's number 248, that says that when council makes decisions that have not, when they're making financial decisions that have not been previously approved through either the operating budget or the capital budget, or a decision approved by council has not been made by emergency order or legally paid, the councillors can be held civically liable for that decision. So as councillors, would you like to be responsible for the $1.3 million that was unanimously approved by the board that evening, by the council that evening? Because there's also clauses in the MGA that says if you choose to not pay that when a citizen asks and holds you to account on that, you can also be disqualified from your positions as council. This is why it's important that you read the MGA and that you understand the MGA, because you are legally binding in the decisions that you make, and you are supposed to be representing the best interests of our community. Not listening to people who know apparently more about orders of rules of how you follow and lead meetings is concerning when you're making multi-million-dollar decisions that impact our municipality and the generations to come.
Thank you.
So
We'll
I'm
take
saying
that
these
into
things
advisement.
respectfully. Do better.
Again, I can't say just, I'd just like to say one thing, that our council is not saying we try to do our best jobs. We are not experts in all of this stuff. We do our best to get through it. And if there was something there, we're willing to hear what did not go well and see if we can correct it. And we could look back on that one. I can't remember that specific example, but we can certainly look at it and see what we can do. All right, anybody else?
Tammy Cleta, resident of High Prairie. I'd like to just poll the council quickly. Donna, how many years have you been sitting as a council member in this chamber?
This will be my third term.
Third term, so approximately how many years?
10.
10? Okay, how many times have you been to the training in Edmonton for when you first are elected?
What training are you referring to?
I'm under the belief that there's 2 weeks where you have to go and learn about the MGA and all the rest of that, or at some point you go to and learn how to do the position that you've been elected to do.
Once you're elected in your first term, there is I believe it's a 2-day course for new councillors.
Okay, have you participated in that?
Yes.
Each time you get elected?
The first time.
Just the first time. Teresa, how many years?
This is the first year that I'm councillor.
Okay. Waco?
Term, sorry, first term.
First term, okay.
15 years total. Yes, I've taken part in the training.
And how many times did you participate?
Can't remember how many. I'm pretty sure, I can't say for sure the previous terms on council, but I know that this time coming back, I did participate in the training. I believe it was held in Valley View this previous time.
3 terms?
This would be my fourth.
Fourth term, okay,
Yeah.
so 12 years roughly. And yourself, Mr. Mayor?
Been this my third term.
Third term, so roughly 12 years again. Sasha?
Well, 10 years,
10 years.
going up, yeah.
Yeah.
My first term here.
First term, John? Judy?
Sorry, first term.
Judy?
This will be my second term, so 6 years in total.
And how many times did you participate?
I only participated in the training on during my first election.
Do you
So-
believe that you guys have been fully prepared for this position? Poll again, Donna?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, Therese?
I think for the term that I have, I've gone to the training and learning all the time. I go through the MGA.
As
I've
best
gone
you can,
through
yeah.
it, but I have to refer to, I
Yeah, we
don't
have
know
to.
it. I have to refer to it, being new to me, but I do refer to it.
Okay. Well, I think it's understandable that we're going to go back again to the land sale. Once again, we cannot find it advertised anywheres, and I find there's a discrepancy because in the resolution 456/07 made on September in 07, Mr. Rick Dumont signed in on 3D that says, therefore, council is legally required to advertise in accordance with the MGA. And according to the MGA, that is done by 3 different methods, which require published at least once a week, 2 consecutive weeks in at least the newspaper or other publication circulating in the area. 2-B says mailed or delivered to every residence in the area to which was proposed bylaw resolution. Or C, given a method provided by the bylaw under section 606-1. In this 3-D, it says, therefore, council is legally required to advertise in accordance with this. Its intention of selling any parcel of land at least 90% of assessed value prior to council accepting the offer. Mr. McKinnon, I asked you the question, was council aware of the land being sold less than appraised value? And you said no, that they did not require this. Is that correct?
I advised council of the sale. I advised council of the conditions. They advised me to proceed with the sale.
Okay. Did you guys know that you're legally responsible if, for the purpose of this policy and in accordance with S70 of the MGA, market value shall be deemed to be assessed value plus or minus 10%?
I could, through the chair, that's one definition. That is not the legal definition of
No,
fair
but it is
market
in your
value.
bylaws for the town.
If you could forward me that, I'm not aware of that one.
Okay, well, it's resolutions 456/7.
The resolution is not a bylaw.
Oh, what is a resolution then?
It's a motion of direction from council. It has no legal binding position.
Oh, so you're saying because it's not legally binding, you were allowed to make a decision that the council was unaware of?
Again, I'd ask the delegations not to put words in my mouth. I did
Okay.
not say
No, I'm
that.
just asking for clarification.
Okay, and I'd be pleased to provide that. So yes, the resolution is direction from council. Bylaws are legally binding legal documents.
Okay, so when the MGA says that they have to be fulfilled in that way, what is your explanation for not advertising it, sending it as a notice in our monthly bills?
It wasn't a tax sale. You're speaking specifically in legislation regarding a tax sale. Disposition of town property can be dealt with based on any policy that may or may not be in place at any municipality.
Okay, and lastly, can you confirm that the 7 parcels that were up for sale were sold to 2 different buyers?
I'm not aware of any sales that we've made in terms of 7 parcels, so could you be more specific, please?
On the attachment A that was attached to the reserve bid amounts, it says there's 2 owners. Can you help me understand what that meant by 2 owners?
2 different,
People were selling property?
no, they were in arrears,
Oh, 2 different people were in arrears for the 7 different properties?
correct?
Okay. Were any sold at the reserve bid amount?
There was no bids at the tax sale, which I believe I stated at the last meeting.
Okay, can you provide me with, like Ron has asked, that we cannot find any evidence of these being advertised for the 2 weeks that were required by the town council?
And we'll forward that on to we'll forward it on and put it on the next, we'll post it on our website.
Okay, and then lastly, at the meeting, I asked for an amendment to be made to the minutes of January 9th to include the delegation of Ron Shunter about the theft of town property. Now the minutes have been completely deleted from the internet. So there is no January 9th minutes on the meeting, and I haven't been able to read that any amendments being made to any of the minutes.
I believe,
Were amendments made to the motions?
I believe they were made, and staff are acknowledging that they've been revised and are posted on.
Okay,
the
and
website.
so the motion for the $10,000 to go to the Rural Renew Stream was divided out between the 5 for
There was-
website and IT?
There was some clarification required. The motion was to amend the budget by 15,000. The motion did not speak on who got the money.
It did
So-
say it went to the Rural Renew Stream,
For the purpose of the rural renewal stream.
yes.
So the motion, from my perspective, is a valid motion. Council may wish to clarify that, but the motion was a valid motion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, we want everybody to have a chance to speak.
This is actually really important, though.
Oh,
It's about the MGA. I'm just wondering, if you're a concerned citizen and you want to read the MGA, where can we have access to that? Like in book format? Does the town hall provide that, or is there one in the library for the public to
King's
read?
Printer.
yeah.
The Queen's Printer. So you're
And
saying,
it's available online. You can get a
oh,
digital
okay.
copy.
So you don't have one in town hall for the public to read, or in the library?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, okay. Because there's a thing at the back of that book, it's called an index. Are you aware of that? Because if you ever have to deal with anything related to, municipal stuff, you just look in the index under every category. It really gives you an outline of all the rules and stuff, so it helps you along the way. So, for example, land sales, you just look in the index under that, and it will give you all the information you need, things like that. So I just thought maybe if there was a book available for the public to read, they could maybe understand as well as many people who read the book.
Thank you, yeah.
Do you have a copy of the book with you, Brian?
I don't have it right here, but I do have it in my office.
If you had it there, you could look in the index under any topic. It really helps. I just thought I would share that with you. Just concerned citizen.
Okay, I'd like to see if we have anybody else that would like to come up and speak before we have coming around, because everybody's come here would like their opportunity. So, Michelle, I just ask if we have somebody else to come up and speak before you come back up. So, this will be... Okay, is this quick? Because you have had your 5 minutes, yeah.
With regards to bylaw number 09-2022, which is the code of conduct for council members, number 8 says adherence to policies, procedures, and bylaws. 8.1, members shall uphold the law established by the Parliament of Canada and the Legislature of Alberta and the bylaws, policies, and procedures adopted by council. 8.2, members shall respect the town as an institution, its bylaws, policies, and procedures, and shall encourage public respect for the town, its bylaws, policies, and procedures. 8.3, a member must not encourage disobedience of any bylaw, policy, or procedure of the town in responding to a member of the public, as this undermines public confidence in the town and the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, I thank you guys for coming in, and I know if there was nobody else to speak, we'll move on. So, oh, sorry. Oh, you want to buy? Okay. Well, council is going to take a short break, and then we'll move on with our agenda.